Present.
Al,
Here.
Laura,
Here.
Sakura, Anise is absent, Amy's here, Emily,
Here.
Hillary.
Yes, here.
First thing on the agenda, the approval of the January 26, 2025 meeting minutes.
I would just, before you move to that, I would just make sure if you could ask for consensus around the table that you have two members joining remotely in compliance with the village's remote meeting policy.
Exactly what Bill said.
That thing that I just said.
Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Bill.
You wanted to approve the minutes?
Yes,
Do we need to
please.
move it second, or I can't remember.
Yeah.
Can I give
So
a-
moved.
It's a voice vote.
Anyone want to second it?
Did we not approve them last time?
No, because we didn't have a quorum.
Oh,
And that's why we don't have meeting minutes for February,
Thank
because
you.
we didn't, we
Because
just.
you didn't officially meet.
Yeah.
Second, great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You opposed? Next on the, oh, hey, Amy.
I know.
Next on our agenda is the public comment. At this point in our meeting is the opportunity for those that are of the public here in attendance to give the opportunity to have a chance to make a comment on something other than that is not on the agenda for today. Most public speakers have a total of 3 minutes to make the comment, and which time limit is strictly enforced by a countdown clock that would normally appear on the screen. But as I don't see anyone in public and no one signed up in the front, I just think we can move on. Item number 4 on our agenda, subcommittee reports. First up is community relations.
We have no updates. We have no updates today.
I had outreach from Kristen for your benefit, Kristen Harrigan at the
Writers
Writers Theater, and so we're gonna sit down to meet.
Great.
All right. Next is the subcommittee of communications.
No update versus the last time. We're still, creating the calendar. I think it's up to date up until end of March. So we're gonna issue out April, May, and June in short order.
Anise is out of town, but she did want me to convey that she is working, albeit slowly, on the article on Talia. It was a fun interview, a lot of information. And that she wants to have it done if everything falls in place by the end of March. I told her to get to it and stop being a slacker.
Wasn't she was doing
that
the
was your-
second one, is what was she doing?
Yeah, it was. that-
Yeah.
That's right.
But, and no, that's not, that's just TBD.
Yes. When I was, from what I was before.
You were not given an update on that.
No, it wasn't.
Just to tell you, perfect.
That's what I figured. When you're thirsty, Hillary, just get any drop of water that you drink.
I don't hear you.
I'm not gonna be too picky as to what that is. Up next on our subcommittee report is events. Number 1, March 11th, 2025, School District 35 Family Belonging Event.
I can look that up. Amin and I met on Friday to just make sure we had everything sorted. You will note none of you have received Sign of Genius because we don't need a Sign of Genius because we're already fully staffed at the table. But we would like to obviously encourage all of you to attend if you have availability. It's March 11th from 5:30 to 7. And it's at Central School in Glencoe. One sort of asterisk is if Laura, you are available, we are going to provide a sensory room.
Oh, okay, sure, I can help sign up and stuff.
And I just know that's sort of your
Yeah.
area of
You want me to help
expertise.
you set up?
We can, if, I don't know that we need to go, like, if the committee's interested, we can go through it now, but they have a lot of things available. So it's,
Sure. Want to talk
we'll
later?
just, yeah,
Yeah,
touch base
sure.
after.
My son plays at 6:35.
No, we won't do it tonight.
No, I'm at, belonging guy.
Oh.
He plays.
Oh.
But before that, I.
Sorry, I want to be home by 6.
He's in the 6:35 show. See him.
My daughter's singing. I can't remember what time the choir is singing.
Oh, yeah. I think, yeah, he's in Echo.
Oh, yeah.
Chamber
Yep.
music.
Cool.
Oh, I love it.
Right.
That's awesome. Okay,
Did you say 5 to 7?
5:30 to 7. Okay, so then broadly, we have our table as in previous years. And we have a banner that like, I guess we discussed this kind of loosely in the meeting last week, but I don't know that last month, I mentioned you guys were here. It just says welcome, but it says it in all the D35 languages. So we had that data from the survey from a couple years back. It's really nice. Sammy designed it, so it's custom and wonderful, and that will be behind us. Raphael and his wife Jackie and I and Amin will all be there sharing our stories. And also, as we discussed previously, we have we're trying to have an activity where we get sort of solicit feedback from the community. But I think the one thing we could use the group's help with is shaping that question. When Amin and I met last week, we just basically felt like we need to know as always, what information are we trying to pull? And as appropriate in this kind of child-friendly school setting. So is it like, what makes you feel most welcome in Glencoe? Or if anyone has any feedback on that, or if Safra, if you want to touch base independently.
We had an extensive conversation 2 months ago, so I don't know if we have those notes about the questions we came up with at the time.
We did have a discussion.
We did. I wasn't necessarily connecting those two things just because I understand where you're going with this, but do you think there was anything
I didn't
there?
bring my notes, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I don't think we settled it. Did you think we did as I'm thinking? now?
We had talked, and there was about 4 questions that we came up with. One of them was, a discussion we had many times, nothing too general, nothing too broad. I think one of them was is it what makes Glencoe so welcoming, or what, I can't remember.
We had at least a few that were geared toward adults, and we had at least 1 or 2 that were geared toward children. And I think you wrote them down.
Yeah, I got
So we did jot stuff down. We had ideas written down on paper.
I'll look for them. Now that Soccer pointed at me.
And so I was sitting next to you, so I saw you write it down. That's the only reason I know
That's
that.
all right, that's all right, that's all right. There's a reason why I'm the chair, sorry, so I get it, it's fine.
Does somebody on the phone have something?
Yeah, were they captured in the meeting minutes from that time? Those questions? Okay, so yeah, if Raphael, if you have those and you can share them, we can maybe figure out what we want the focus to be and what the question is we want to ask. Because the second part of that would be, what are we going to do with that information once we get it back?
I mean, partially it's a way to engage. I mean, we don't have, in the same way that some of the other stops along the tour during the program will have more substantive, kind of stories. We have 3 of us who will provide our sort of family stories if anyone's really interested. But then this was just sort of an opportunity to kind of engage in an activity. So I think it's good that it be something we actually are hoping to answer. But I also think it's not going to be the most scientific of formats. There's crayons and paper.
Yeah, I mean, we're not publishing the results, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But it is usable data. And like we talked about 2 months ago, there's no point in asking a question if you don't know the answer. So that's why we spent a good amount of time talking about what those questions should be. And I thought we had a really great discussion about it. Not to throw him, our fearless leader, under the bus. He's got it at home, I'm sure, in his notes.
I wrote a couple things down too. I just
Okay.
ran from somewhere else and I didn't have my paperwork, but I'll
I'll
look
look
and
it
shoot
up.
you a note if I had something. But I just had this feeling that we got close, but I thought that it was like, well, you'll polish it or something, and I'm not.
We have time, we
Yeah.
can still do
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
So
I'll look for what I.
So we'll table that until we can unearth the notes, which we know there.
So also on the discussion, I don't know if anyone wants to volunteer anything. The school did say that they are collecting in order to display family artifacts or family, I want to say heirlooms. Remember they're on the, like, so if you have something that's of cultural significance or family significance that shows your family's background, they're more than happy to protectively put it on display and give it back. I do have some old pictures of my grandfather when he was in seminary school. So I'm gonna see if they want something like that.
I think you have to submit it by Wednesday,
Yeah.
if my memory serves.
I think you're right. So if there's something out there you guys feel like you want to throw in there, or something that's of significance to show up, but they don't want it to be damaged or sorry, I love kids, but I don't trust mine, so I don't trust yours. Into not getting
You've met mine.
Well,
That shows.
your kids are angels compared to my demon. Her horns are underneath her hair. Anyway, I digress. So let us know, and then again, I can take over the school by Wednesday. Submit that. And then I think we've already talked about what to expect there, if you're gonna go, right? Everybody knows for the most part, or no? Yeah, okay. Then I think that we'll wrap up that.
One more,
Yes, go
sorry.
ahead.
one more question on the event. I know we talked about a social media post for that on the village page. Is that something we've done or we're gonna be working on in the next week or so?
It already went,
It already
one of them
went.
went out last week. We'll be doing more leading up.
Perfect. Thank you.
And also, it's not, I didn't even look at it. You don't have to sign up to go, right? You can just show up.
There is an RSVP that's actually not true. I think they would like people to reply.
Mhm.
You don't have to reply because you're already counted in our head count, but if, technically, I think they'd appreciate
I
it.
think they want you to RSVP if you can.
Their rough count would probably be
Yeah.
helpful. Any count. No, I mean, it's like,
Not because you don't want.
be like 100 people could show up. for
I looked at the RSVP link and it looked like it was more to capture like, hey, are you gonna bring something or do you have something that a memory or like
It's both.
so
It's
yeah.
both. They're asking if you're planning to attend and with how many people. So I don't think it's mandatory. I think if somebody shows up, they're not gonna turn you away at the door, but I think they're
And
seeking.
there's no capacity issue I
No.
checked, so
I think they're just trying to get a sense of the magnitude of what to expect. So if you don't RSVP, like I said, I don't think they're gonna turn you away at the door. I have a meeting with Catherine Lang tomorrow morning, but I'll confirm that.
Anything else that we need to discuss in regards to that event? No. All right. Up next, integrating community feedback. Nothing to report.
We kind of covered it.
I'll find my notes. I'll send the email out to the questions that I have recorded, and we'll take a soft poll as to which ones are good or not good. Okay. Moving along swiftly. Number 5, subcommittee assignments. And it's escaping me what this is about.
Anyone wants. You could just, yeah, if anybody want to switch, I think.
Oh, yeah, I forget we talked about that anymore. Anybody want to bail? It's okay. No?
just don't ask.
Just asking, making sure. So, all right, up next, number 6, attending neighboring towns council meetings. I did go to Northbrook's Cultural Fest very, very quickly. I was in between work and going to another event. It was at the YMCA in Northbrook. So it was a very roomy, lovely, nice setup. They did have food. They had a bunch of other dance performances. They will out tables from community organizations. And it was nice. It was, I got there late, so I don't know how it was right when it started. It was from like 3 to 5:30. I can't remember the exact time. But it was just it was a nice community gathering event in which they recognized the different demographics of their village, and their food reflected that. They had food from a Korean restaurant. They had food from I forget what the other one was. Middle Eastern. But again, I just went in and went out just to give it a quick eye, so.
Ralph, was the food provided by the village or was it provided by individuals?
No, they pay for it.
Okay,
So they, some people, some did offer donations, but when I went to the actual meeting in person, they were talking about how it was budgeted and how it was paid for by the village out of their council's budget.
nice.
So, but it was just it's one of the perks of having that much of a bigger of a village. They have a lot more options when it comes to ordering food.
What might we think about, like in much the same way that we had the different village languages on our banner, might we sort of give some thought to what are the most represented cultures in the village? And if we wanted to do something like that.
No, I agree completely. It was really interesting though, because they strictly would only purchase things and provide things that were from stores and businesses in Northbrook.
That's ideal.
So one of the things was going to Costco because they needed napkins and paper plates, and that got shut down. Got shut down. So it is, I mean, I'll keep my eye open for other similar festivals that I can attend or go to, because it's something that if the village and the trustees and we as a council want to put it on or expand even this one with the school, it's something to consider for next year.
Maybe even if we built out, there's those Friday, I don't know if Writers Theater is going to do that again, but I can ask Kristen. Over the summer, they were in conjunction with one of their plays, they were doing like a Friday night, I think it was a Friday night kind of food truck. Maybe we
It
could
was with us.
sort of collaborate on one of them or,
I think it's happening again.
right?
I don't know if you've seen Skokies. I'm Katie, by the way. I'm the Human Resources Manager, but I don't know if you've ever been to Skokies
Festival.
Festival of Cultures. It's really awesome. They do it usually on the weekend, 2 days in a row. Phil and I have worked there before. Not together,
same
but separate. Probably. the
I was an
same time.
intern at that time, but
I
yes,
was-
it
I
is,
was working at the library.
kind of blows your mind. It's a pretty feature then.
And is it in downtown Skokie, or do they have it?
It's in-
It's at the park, so it's
Yeah.
very close to downtown Skokie. It's right around the corner, kind of like in a,
Oakton Park.
Okay.
when is it?
It's in May. They do it, I think it's usually, so this is this year. So it's May 17th and 18th of this year. 11 to 6. Now Skokie is a very diverse community. I think,
And very large.
yeah.
And well funded because of furniture.
Yeah, but I feel like there are like 80 cultures represented in the village. My memory serves. So it's a very, very long-standing event. It's been going on. I mean, I worked it when I was an intern 23 years ago, so it's been around for a bit, but it's a lot of fun. It's a worthwhile event, I think, to go to get ideas. Because you can scale everything. This is huge, obviously, but you could do an afternoon event similar to Northbrook's.
Awesome.
Sorry, making notes. Got it. Okay, anyone have any other kind of comments or additions to attending the neighboring towns, any other meetings or anything like that?
There's Highland Park's meeting is March 18th. So, and I recently saw my friend who I realized was on the Highland Park Commission. I was like, oh, I'm on this team meeting. My coach was like, oh, I said, I'm gonna come to your meeting. She's like, nobody ever comes. That'll be so fun. So I'll report back next month. What goes on there.
That's awesome. I'll be out of town. All right, we'll come with you.
If anyone wants to go with, send an email.
Yeah, let me know. March 18th, it's at 5.
I'll let you know. I gotta check my. Is that what day is that?
Tuesday. It's a Tuesday.
Something ready to do, I don't know. So, all right. And I do encourage, if you guys have the opportunity to go, it is kind of, the one at the Northbrook one that I talked about when I went, they had 2 students from the high school, can't remember which one it was. As like liaisons for the high school.
Highland Park also has
student liaisons on theirs.
to participate. Now, talking to someone here, and it's kind of difficult because I don't know how much a middle schooler is going to be able to provide an insight. The counter of that is there any New Trier high school students living in Glencoe that will want to do it? Something to consider. But also if we do, if that is something, a possibility that we're open to, the other question is, what's the point? Like, what are we going to use it to get the feel for the school? The kids are staying in the school. What would we want the purpose of the meetings are? And the kids did speak every once in a while about certain aspects going on or their take on certain ideas as to what the council wanted to propose. But for most of it, they sat in the back just talking to each other. But it's still, it was an interesting exercise to watch.
Phil, the sustainability task force used to have
Yep.
middle school,
Yep.
central school representation. Is there any feedback? Do you have any sense of how that, like, does it continue? Did it work well?
I think it worked well. They haven't had it for a bit. There were sometimes meeting conflicts with after-school events that the students would be a part of. So sometimes they couldn't attend regularly. So that was sometimes an issue, but there was also not a long list of people who were interested in participating. Now, that doesn't mean that there wouldn't be. And that it may be worth talking to, to central school particularly, to see if there is any interest or there could be any interest if we approach them. But New Trier is a good option too. It's not a bad thing to try to get high school participation. I look at it from the standpoint of it's a really valuable civic engagement opportunity for a high schooler, which these days is particularly important just overall in terms of understanding kind of roles in government and things like that. So there may be some real interest if we raise the idea with them. We haven't in a bit.
Is it worth checking in with the sustainability task force to get their feedback, or is that just something we should?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to. I have a meeting tomorrow with the staff liaison.
We can do.
No, I know, but I can at least start that. And they're going to be at the April Committee of the Whole meeting.
Nice.
This group maybe as well. I was going to mention that tonight. So there's an opportunity for that interaction from the village board to kind of say, kind of youth participation again and trying to re-engage on that side.
I will say, speaking to Ralph's question, what is the point? I think you guys know I do a lot of work with UNICEF, which is the UN Children's Organization, and we have a certification process called Child Friendly Cities, which it is not something that that makes sense for the village of Glencoe, but I've been involved in that process to some extent. And I was reviewing the criteria, and that's actually one of the questions is there any do minors have any representation in village government? And it's actually, to your point, there's sort of two components. There's what it does for the actual child who serves, but also it's a pretty valid perspective, given we have such a small town. Children make up a huge portion of who lives here, and they do have valid perspectives. So,
Is there a club or something like an inclusion club at Glencoe?
That's central. I think there.
I know there's like a LGBT, but
Yeah.
like, I don't know if there's a more general, something that
Yeah.
would be an obvious place for us to pull people from.
Let me confirm with Catherine Lane tomorrow when I meet with her. I believe there is. I
know there's specifically,
Yeah,
but I don't know
yeah.
if there's like
A more broad one.
more broad.
Mhm.
Because I know they have that at West, but West would be very,
Yeah.
West, I think it's literally called like the Inclusion Club
I
or
think that's
something.
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I don't know if they have a.
And I do think
Counterpart
you probably really want to target 7th or 8th grade. Just again, from the standpoint of the ability to sit through an evening meeting and those kinds of things. So, but I think it could be great. It's a wonderful perspective to have on a group like this particularly.
That was part of your idea of the civic engagement. We could always, Miss Alsberg is the social studies teacher that my daughter has right now. I guess you can ask Dr. White if it's maybe, if there is a course or a section on civics.
Yeah, she and I are actually talking a little bit about the, you and I were talking about, forgetting, the O'Connor.
Yes, Sandra Day O'Connor Institute.
Um,
That's great.
Which is essentially when Sandra Day O'Connor retired from the Supreme Court, she created this initiative to grow civics awareness at the elementary and high school level. So I got some outreach from a few of the organizations that I'm active in city management. And they're seeking kind of to try to engage more school districts in working with that on it. So I was going to talk to you about that too.
So that'd be a really nice tie-in.
It could, yeah, for sure.
I'll offer them extra credit to come and sit here for an hour.
Try to be more positive.
My daughter is seventh grade.
It's not always an hour.
Well, I'll tell you what, when they start looking ahead in their 8th grade and 9th, 10th, they all start to be real eager beavers because they're thinking about college and all the things that they need to pad their resumes with. So I suspect we can scrounge some.
And also, I think it would help in getting our name out there. It would also help very much when we have those events during in the community, that if we have a school age high schooler or middle schooler, and they say, hey, we're giving away donuts.
Right.
That way Soccer and I aren't picking up glazed juice all over the floors and the tablecloth.
The melted donuts?
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier. I mean, it was just a thought. I thought it was an interesting dynamic that that Norfolk was doing. So, all right. Moving along, up next on our agenda is other business. This is the part in our meeting that we discuss things that were not listed in the agenda. And if there's something that we'd like to discuss or a member of the committee would like to bring to our attention.
Can I just mention one thing? I kind of alluded to it. I'm going to be sending out an email to the chairs of the boards and commissions. We had been on a fairly regular routine of providing, of the boards and commissions providing to the village board an annual report. And then we got inconsistent with that. And what we're going to try to do is, again, kind of reinstate that so that there is at least one time per year where there's a formal interaction between the boards and commissions and the village board. So we are looking right now at that being on the 17th of April, the April committee of the whole meeting, which is at it's a 5:30 start. Those meetings are at the Take-If Center now because the second floor is under construction. But I'll be sending you, Raphael, an email about this, and the staff will work with you on assembling the report itself. But it's a good opportunity for 10 to 15 minutes to kind of just talk about the initiatives that the GCIC are undertaking and just that interaction with the village board. So we're going to have 4 of them that night. I think it's going to be if it all works, GCIC, Tree Commission, STF, Sustainability Task Force, and the Public Safety Commission. So I'll get you some information on that. Nothing to worry about. It's pretty low key, but again, it's a good opportunity for that more formal interaction to take place.
And then it's usually what, a representative or two, it's not.
Yeah, you don't all have to come. You'd of course be welcome to attend if you wanted to, but certainly does not need to be everybody that you know.
All right. Anything else other business? Anything from Amon or Al?
Nothing
That's
was
right.
All right, well, I think that up next is to adjourn. Can I have a motion? And yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.